If you couldn't read, you'd be a stranger in a strange land.
Nama saya di sini Mus. Musk.
Bewitched.
Common life activities such as filling out a job application, getting a driver's license, voting in an election, reading instructions for technology, all would be meaningless and terribly frustrating, and you wouldn't be alone.
Resident?
Silk.
Yes.
Hug. Pull. Sure.
Out of 337 million Americans, over 90 million adults in the United States are illiterate.
I would have to pull over so I could see the signs and sound it out like Aberrak. And if the letters didn't match and it didn't make sense, I would just keep driving.
Doug Collins sat in his room when he was a kid, frustrated, feeling stupid, and wishing that somehow the words would jump off the page.
I mean, it was truly devastating, but it was a kind of a secret kind of devastation. I couldn't really share with anybody. I just had to feel it all the time.
At age 40, after a lifetime of frustrated searching and much study, he discovered the code to pronouncing and reading all English words.
I just had this kind of an epiphany. It was like all of a sudden this whole way to teach reading just kind of was like a picture in my mind.
With commitment and passion, Doug Collins was able to create and develop the universal reading method.
From like 1 minute I was stupid and incompetent and hiding a big secret, and 2 hours later I was smart and had no secret.
You know, at first when my brothers showed me the reading method, I was really skeptical.
And the whole idea was for them to decide that it was fun to read.
When I saw the amazing results he was getting teaching people how to read, that I brought to him.
It's so basic and so easy to understand.
I knew I would have to build a case that would convince others of what I had experienced.
Literally like 2 hours I could read. I think it was just under 2 hours.
I flew over to London and I met with a British billionaire. Andreas Paniotou was his name. And he went public in the Evening Standard that he could not read. And after an hour and a half of me teaching him, he was able to read 333 multi-syllable words. And then he read an article about himself.
Teachers of the method work with only 6 simple yet powerful concepts in a logical, progressing order. No memorizing is required of the student. The brain just needs processing time. So, instructors provide a half-hour break midway. The break gives the brain time for consolidation, while at the same time stimulating 2 once dormant parts of the brain that facilitate reading.
It's as liberating as the Gutenberg press or the internet.
It's funny because Craig asked me if I felt any differently, and I felt an immediate shift in my body.
Now they can read. Now they have the world's encyclopedia not only at their fingertips, but in their brains where they can actually make judgments about it.
Some might say that this is too good to be true, and that's typical of those who cling to the status quo when faced with change. Robin Perna is a reading specialist in language arts who wrote her master's thesis on the universal reading method.
I actually did some research for them and tested what was then known as the Collins reading method and had great results. I brought my niece, Anaya, to come see Mr. Collins and have him teach her the reading method. She came yesterday in an hour and a half. That's all it took, an hour and a half. She got it.
It was embarrassing just to come into school and not really learn how to read. And
Naya sat and read the first 32 pages of her vampire book.
my mother drove me to the airport with windows rolled down. Now it's just amazing.
So we can have more geniuses coming from more places. It's what the world has been waiting for in terms of the availability of reading.
When a person looks at that pattern and they see that pattern and they look at words, all those sounds jump out at them. They see them for the first time and they hear themselves saying them. And then they recognized those words because they could have recognized me or you talking, but they didn't know that they went with those letters and those sounds were in those words.
Unseasoned,
Yes.
emergency, material, accumulate, ordinary,
Outside, always, careful.
replenishing, indirectly, participate,
Laptop, behind, problem, complete, concrete, terminate, terminal.
So they put Andrew into the car, fastened his seatbelt.
He realized that in all those years of running away from some very high-flying jobs, he'd been fighting a dragon that didn't exist.
I have great hopes and dreams that it's very effective because so many people need it.
I actually went from a third grade reading level to, I guess, a college level in 2 hours. Actually, an hour and 50 minutes, thanks to Craig and the Universal Reading Method.